What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good day. I'm going to get into this slate in just a second. I'm not going to talk about politics or anything. All I would say is just let's be kind to each other. I know I haven't always kept up my end of the bargain when it comes to Twitter arguments and whatnot, but there's a lot of people hurting. A lot of people are in pain about a lot of things. There's also been a lot of it's just a lot of tough stuff. So let's take a break. Let's enjoy the basketball. Let's talk about everything. And if you're happy, no need to gloat. If you're upset, no need to take it out on anybody else. Let's try to be kind to each other as much as possible. And I'll just try to do the same. I know it's going to be difficult for some of us at times, myself included. So just wanted to throw that out there real quickly. I would have felt remiss if I didn't say anything at all. So I wanted to say that really briefly. With that said, we're going to share my screen. I'm going to go through the slate and talk through it. It's a big one. We had no games yesterday, as you guys are well aware of. So because of that, we have quite a big slate today. And I'm just loading the screen right now. And we're going to talk game by game from a first look perspective. Sheets and I will be live at 6 Eastern time, talk about the slate again. Might be 5:30. We're still trying to figure out the sweet spot of time and all this stuff. Let me know what you guys think or whatever. But I like that 5:30 Eastern time. That way we can cover hockey, which Sheets mostly does, but hockey, baseball, and then on NFL days, the NFL as well. Hockey, basketball, and NFL days. Sorry, been a long night. I was up pretty late. Anyway, all right, we're going to get into it, talking about the first game, Orlando and Indiana. Remember that it's early in the morning, so some of the projections are probably a little bit high variance, to say the least. I think there's a lot of plays here. Look, we want to attack Indiana in general. They are not a great defensive team, and they play fast, although not quite as fast as last year. And Orlando is playing faster this year as well. So a little bit. I think this is an interesting spot to target more of the Orlando side for me. I do think that like Wagner with no Paolo, obviously we're not going to see Paolo for a while. Is this the right price for him? You could argue this matchup maybe should be a little bit more. I'm flirting with making him a core play. I'd like to make somebody from this team a core play. Suggs at that price is a little tougher for me to get to, but I think I'm going to just temporarily throw a number on Wagner just because I like the matchup so much. 50 seems like a very gettable number for him. As of right now, that's all I've got, but I wouldn't mind, like, if you wanted to take a stab with the Batatse. There's just other guys we're going to talk about later that are probably going to stand out a little bit more, but I'll fix my core before we're done, and I'll have it up on the site. But as of right now, I'm definitely thinking about, trying to just take the good spot there for Wagner, and I think he's going to start picking up his play more and more. Mathurin, I'm totally fine with this. It feels like, it's really hard to pick Indiana players in general. I'm always interested in low-owned Haliburton, but I think Mathurin and Haliburton would be my heaviest interest. If Nembhard is in fact out, I think that we talk about McConnell, Haliburton, Mathurin, all as very strong plays. But we're gonna have to revisit this one a little bit later today, just because it's a tough spot. I also apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, and it's been happening to me since I got the Sheets calls it the parade flu. I don't know what happened, but a bunch of us got sick, so it is what it is. Anyway, I do like Mathurin here a little bit, and I think that Haliburton at low ownership is always interesting. Hate the individual matchup with Suggs, but and Haliburton's just very high variance, but we know he's got a ceiling at that 8K price tag. He also has a very, very low floor, as we've seen recently. So it's a little bit not quite the Haliburton we saw at the beginning of last year consistently, and hopefully we get that back soon. On the Detroit side, I'm a big fan of what I just think that they're more competitive this year. I like what they're doing. I know they're not winning a ton of games, but I do like what they're doing, letting the young guys cook a little bit. I always am going to have a little bit of interest in Ivy and Cunningham in this type of matchup. Neither to quite make the a must play type of thing, but I think they're both really strong plays. I think I would lean Ivy for the savings as of right now. He's looked pretty good to me, and I think there's still a higher ceiling than we've really seen on him coming. And this is the kind of matchup where you could get there. I actually really like Jalen Duren too. They're rebounding the ball really well, and a lot of it has to do with him. So I actually think you can make a case for a lot of people here. It's just a matter of how high do you want to go on this slate. Duren is probably I guess that Duren and then Ivy would be my two favorites, but I certainly wouldn't fault anybody for Cade Cunningham in this matchup, and you could run it right back with LaMelo on the other side. And the price seems high. The projection always feels a little bit low on Melo these days. I actually think that his median might be a little bit higher, but this is what we got for you, 7.75. Even if you made it 50, would that make that much of a difference? Because you're not playing him to get 50 anyway. You're playing for can he get 60 or 70? And I believe absolutely he can, but I just think there's other guys to spend up for. So I'm probably more on the Detroit side of that game than I am on the Charlotte side. New York and Atlanta. OG's price is going to make him very tough. It's tough when you look at these minutes that you're getting to not have some interest. 37 minutes as a median, that feels good enough for me to go ahead and say, okay, that's a good piece of value right there. I really do like Towns. I think you can make a good case for Bridges. Bridges and Hart, by the way, actually also are very strong. If you're not going to go the OG way, I just would probably go with the Hart or Bridges side of things. Karl-Anthony Towns is totally fine. Awesome play here. One thing is this Atlanta team, it's just a gold mine for scorers. We've seen it like basically the whole last 5 years. They're just a gold mine for DFS on the other side. So I could see playing 2 Knicks here, like potentially even in a cash game lineup. And I think for tournaments, Jalen Brunson is a really interesting contrarian spend up. And again, these matchups, you can go nuts. And what if this is the Brunson 40-10 game or whatever, and he ends up with 65, 70 fantasy points? That seems very possible. Maybe it's the one for Towns to do this, to go 40-10, 40 points, 10 rebounds. I think that you want to get some exposure here. I don't know which one of them to tag yet, but I do think they're both very interesting. On the Atlanta side, against the Knicks, it's just going to be a pass for me. The Knicks play slower than everybody in the NBA. I don't see why I would play anyone from here other than maybe you just say, okay, we take a trade beats up on the Knicks again type of play. Maybe a Kongwu, just nobody who I don't think I could get there on this kind of slate, to be honest with you. On the Golden State side of things against Boston. So if they're going to stay in this game, Steph's going to probably have to do something right is what you'd think, but they've actually been doing well, even with Steph off the court, which is just credit to their depth, credit to what they're developing. And I really think that it's just, professional teams that know how to win and know how to be competitive are competitive. And I think this is a Warrior team you're going to see. I mean, they're only kind of surprised they're only 6-point dogs in Boston. I thought that Boston would be a little bit of a bigger favorite. But I think Steph is another interesting look. If you play Steph and Jalen Brunson and you could eat all the chalk you want everywhere else, I think it's a really interesting way to get different on the slate. Steph is not going to be the guy, who projects as well as the other superstars. He hasn't had the monstrous games this year, but I think it's an interesting play, just hoping that they try and stay close. And maybe you get a flashback from 2 years ago, game 4. I believe it was game 4 where he basically won the game single-handedly against them. It's just an interesting contrarian play. Nobody's going to be a priority, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it was my first thought. And then we go back to Boston with all the value again. As of right now, Keita at 3,200 as the starting center is hard to ignore, although they don't really need to play big here. Then again, he might even be the guy they play when you don't play big. I'm going to go right back to Tatum. Again, I don't think that I'm not going to tag him because there's other spend-ups we'll talk about, but I think that he's really interesting as well. You've also got the nice price on Holiday, Pritchard. The blowouts are always in play for Boston because if they're hot, you're really, really in trouble. I think all of these guys are firmly in play. And right now, Kate is the only one I'm going to tag, but everybody else, literally, including Pritchard, I think are totally reasonable plays. I just wouldn't play like Pritchard and Holiday together. It's a path. There's still a path, but it's not the best path of going there myself, for myself anyway. Lakers and Memphis. This is an interesting game. I'm curious. The total seems real. I get it. It's high there. Both teams play fast enough. It feels a little higher than I was expecting when I first looked today. That was my, first look thoughts. I like this price for Reeves. I like this price for LeBron. I like AD as just he's been awesome this season. Look, we've got the Q tag. We've got some time to figure it out. Nobody's quite making the priority list for me, but everybody, I wouldn't fault you for playing any of these guys here. I really think that the whole starting lineup is totally in place. I think Reeves would probably be my favorite just because he's consistently productive. 61 price tag is a pretty reasonable number. Is he that much better of a play than Josh Hart? That's something you could think about. I think Hart might be a little bit better for me today. So they're in a similar price range, is why I mentioned it. But so nothing that's quite a priority for me there. I mentioned in the last game, there was a couple things that one, I want to shout out Bapongo Fiesta just for just a terrific Zach Edey call. And I actually got to it. I think this price is egregious. This is the problem with the Keita play. Then you're double centering here. I think this is a ridiculously low projection. It's actually still, the projection's fine. I just can't buy the ownership at only 10%. He's put up 29 and then 50 in his last 2 games. He's playing better and better. I know people are worried about the matchup with Davis, and that just goes through their mind. I love the Edey play. And I know I mentioned the Steph and the Brunson idea to get different. I would have no issue. The only issue is they're not playing him enough minutes, but Ja Morant, is getting there, and he played 32, is finally a season high in the last game. If his minutes start creeping back up into the 34, 35 range, man, we'll be playing him like crazy. It's just that 32 number is probably a little low to like make him a priority, but I think he's a terrific tournament play. I would rank him ahead of Steph as a better get different play, and very, very similar to Brunson to me. But I do like Ja a little bit. That's pretty much it for me, but I love the ED play, and it's not going to work every night. But if you're going to tell me 10% ownership, now if he's 30 or 40%, I could talk to you into a fade or something. But I think if he ends up in like the 20 or lower, I think you got to be overweight on guys that play like ED. Just too high of a ceiling at 4,400. San Antonio and Houston. Wemby's finally starting to. I say finally, like I mean he's been fine, but it's not been quite the I don't know, the sophomore season that start that everybody was hoping for, even though the Spurs have been competitive. But we've seen him now 67 a few games ago, then 70 in the last one against the Clippers, largely due to just he blocked, I believe, 9 shots in the last game. Is that right? Yeah, I think it was. What did he have? 9 blocks and 3 steals. Is that what he had? Yeah, 9 blocks and 3 steals. That's gonna put up a big number. So he's always in play. I'm fine with it. Again, not going to prioritize it. All these spend ups feel very similar to me, but I do feel like 10-4 is too low of a number for him overall. And also the other issue is that, like I just mentioned, 2 good value center plays, and he's obviously only center eligible. So yeah, I'm not sure where I end up with on him on this slate. I don't think I can get to Houston. I did want to mention that I'll take a mini victory lap that I've been saying 2 things. I've been saying the Şengün cannot keep missing every shot, and the Van Vliet cannot keep missing every shot. And playing these guys in large field tournaments is usually a good idea because they do have a real ceiling, especially the Şengün side. So I'm actually a little bit interested in Şengün always, even in the tough one-on-one matchup or whatever. It doesn't mean like he's such a great defender, Wembanyama, but it's guarding everybody. It's not just like just guarding your man. And Şengün did bust out after having a slow go after his for his awesome start. He had 57.5 last time out. So he would be the highest level of interest. I would not mind if you wanted to play Fred VanVleet either, but I am not prioritizing any of it at the moment. On the Cleveland New Orleans game, so Cleveland, this feels like sure, okay. If you want to talk me into Darius Garland, I'm okay with it. If LeVert is out, we can talk about Sam Merrill as a tournament play. Had a nice game the other night off the bench. We can talk more about Garland and Mitchell. But as of right now, I think that and potentially even Mobley, just doesn't quite make the priority list for me. So I'm really not that interested in the Cleveland side today. I have nothing on the New Orleans side. If Zion plays and Hawkins plays, if both of them miss, we know what to do, right? We go back to Ingram. We play Alvarado probably. But as of right now, I'm not finding anything that is a priority for me in that game. It's probably one of the games I like least on the slate. This is an interesting one because you've got the Q tag on LaVine, which is a big factor. If LaVine is out, we go right back to the Bulls guys again. If LaVine is in, I think LaVine is a really good play here. I also worry about them keeping it close on the road. I know they've gotten off to a better start than people expected. And the Bulls are, in fact, playing at the fastest pace in basketball. At least with LaVine, they are. Again, nothing that jumps out as being like an amazing play here. I think you could talk about Dosunmu as a potential value, but let's keep an eye on that Zach LaVine because all of these guys have their ceiling just goes through the roof without LaVine. So we're definitely going to want a couple Bulls pieces. The problem is it's a later game. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to figure that one out yet. Part of a way to have some exposure, though, it makes me kind of want to be exposed to later games if we feel like it is a true questionable for a guy who didn't play in the last time out. Najee Marshall here, I'm a big Najee Marshall guy, and if they're going to start him, I think this is I think you kind of have to eat it. Like you're playing him. I don't know. I think you're playing the majority, probably most of your lineups. I think Luka's in a great spot, and I don't mind Kyrie as a pivot. I think Luka's the best spend up. I think Luka probably puts up 65 or 70 tonight. That's why I'm going to play him as my favorite spend up against this Bulls team. I just hope the Bulls keep it close. And we could end up talking a little bit of a game stack if we do, in fact, get no Zach LaVine a little bit later on today. All right, Miami and Phoenix. Hero, I didn't initially look at this and go, okay, I need to play Tyler Hero today. It's fine. I have no issue with it. He certainly has the ceiling to do it. It's a good enough matchup. I feel like he needs to be hot shooting to get there these days, and that's just a tough one for me because I just think there's a lot of plays on a big slate. So I'm probably not going to get to much over here. I will throw out my normal Jimmy Butler is is just always so low owned, but actually is kind of out producing maybe what most people think. I mean, he's been over 40 and what 4 out of the 7 games, over 50 only once. But this is not a bad matchup. I don't think I'm going to get to it, but I do think it's an interesting contrarian play for large field stuff. On the Phoenix side, I got nothing for you. If you want to tell me Booker's going to have another great game, sure. If you're going to tell me Kevin Durant, great. If Bradley Beal was out, that'd be a different story. But I just don't think I can get it to anyone here. Against the Miami team, it's still overall is good defensively and paced down. So not overly interested in anything in that game either. And we get to another one where I'm not especially interested in most of this one. If you wanted to talk me into Jalen Williams, I wouldn't talk you out of it, or I wouldn't talk you out of Shea, but I'm certainly not going out of my way trying to get them. This was a low-scoring game the last time out. I think you're going to see that a little bit more this year, and you're going to have a ton of value over here on the Denver side. This is why I think backloading the slate makes a lot of sense. It also allows you to pivot for that LaVine news if we feel it's real news later on today. I think this is very you've got the Watson value. There's a lot of value out there, so we can pay for the Luka. And why not build some Luka and Jokic lineups if they need to win this game? If they can win this game, Jokic is probably going to have to go nuts, especially with no Murray. Can I tag Luka with all this value, Luka and Jokic? Well, I'm allowed to do whatever I want, so I'm going to right now. Westbrook is probably a near lock for me. I think 5K is just remarkably too cheap. You do worry, but even like blowout, I don't know. Like he still probably ends up around 30 minutes. What is the projection for his minutes right now? We've got him at 28. Oh no, we got him at 30. That's probably is even a little low. So it might even be as high as 32. He's going to be played no matter what because he's obviously a great fantasy point per minute producer, even as badly as he shoots the ball sometimes. So he and Watson are priorities, and I think you could throw Jokic into the mix for it at least. I'm not sure I'm going to do it eventually at the end of the day. I still I don't know. It's weird to say I don't know where I stand with Jokic and Luka. The only issue, again, with Jokic that you run into is the double center thing. Maybe we go back and maybe you don't have to play Keita. Maybe you don't have to play Edie and you play one with Jokic. But that's some different thoughts I had today. Normally, when we do our shows, I'll try to have lineups built so I can, because SaberSim with the simulations and everything, that's how you do the current building of the lineups. We could just build some fun ones, but we can't do a sim on it because that's how they have their sim set up now. We'll just see what it says. Oh, maybe it will let me do it. I don't know. I actually haven't tried it yet on the new SaberSim. So I've only tried it once I've already entered my lineup. So I'm just curious how it's gonna shake out. But my guess is you're going to be getting close to 100% of Westbrook. I think you're also going to be getting like 50-ish% of Watson, maybe a little higher. Najee Marshall should be just as high, if not higher than Watson. I don't think, looking back at it, I'm okay with not tagging in a newbie for now. I might change my mind later, but I like the idea of getting some Knicks, so I wanted to have someone in this great matchup. But I just really like a lot of these later game plays. It also allows us for information that we're waiting on and information that we don't know that we'll be waiting on yet. So let's see what we've got going here. How far are we along in this build? There we go. Should have something soon. I wonder what's going to happen if it'll let me run a sim. I don't think it's going to let me. Yeah, it's not going to let me run a contest sim. Oh, it is. Oh, I don't have my lineups entered in yet. That's what I thought I would do. So, okay, they're going 100% Luka, 100% West, 100% Cat. Ooh, I like Cat, but that seems like a high percentage. And we can't run the contest sim. So this is sort of what they're giving you just on the optimizer and straight up simulations, but certainly would probably want to spread out a little bit. We'll take a look a little bit later on and we'll rerun some stuff. I'll see you guys at 6 Eastern time with Sheets. Good luck to everybody. Have a blessed day. And good luck. I hope we'll see you guys at 6 Eastern.